It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Oh, and it really is a crazy world this morning, isn't it? Really, I mean, it is every morning. There's always something crazy going on somewhere in the world. But now it looks like, last night when I went to bed, so yesterday was another disastrous day, technology-wise. So I was all set up for the Members Live. Members Live is on a Thursday evening. We're going to talk about Summer Wells and some developments in that case. And boom, StreamYard goes completely. You can't get on StreamYard. Nobody can get on it. Apparently, some problem with Google Cloud. Just couldn't even get on it to do anything with it anyway, or to set up a new stream or anything. So that was how I went to bed last night, and all I was thinking was, well, I hope StreamYard will be sorted out in the morning. So I get up this morning and StreamYard's sorted out. But but now it looks like we're, there's going to be World War III or something, because good old Benjamin Netanyahu, I cannot bear that man, what a man he is. The warmonger, they're all warmongers. I'm not sticking up for the other side either, but you just get tired of it all, don't you? Anyway, so yeah, they're all throwing their dummies out their pram, and then the rest of us, we've got to sit and think, oh, what's going to happen? And, of course, the people that will suffer, as always, are civilians, just normal people, just wanting to have a normal life, get up, have their coffee, go through their day, look after their kids, go to work, go to school, do whatever. They're the ones that will suffer. So that was what woke up to this. Well, that's what we all woke up to this morning, didn't we? And yeah, not very nice, is it? So I went out and I bought a couple of bottles of vino, because I thought, do you know what, if we're going to have World War III, because I had no vino, I thought if we're going to have World War III, well, I'll just make sure I can glug back a bottle of wine first. So that's my emergency wine, just in case World War III breaks out. You say you get 3-minute warning. Well, I might not be able to manage the whole bottle, but I will try my best. Anyway, so that was this morning. That's the worldwide news. So we've got, yesterday it was all about the plane crash. Wasn't it? That was all the news. Now it's like the plane crash being forgotten, and all they're talking about now are the military strike. I don't know why I watch the news, really. Well, I watch the news, because sometimes there are interesting things on it that I want to tell you guys about. But a lot of the time it really is doom and gloom, isn't it? It's like you just think, oh, and the problem is the things out of your control. Oh, look, Riley's coming, he wants cuddle. The things that are out of your control, so you can't do it. It's nothing I can do about this. Just hope, pray, etc. So we're not going to talk about that in this video. What we're going to talk about in this video is this mushroom murder trial. God, what would a morning be like without the talk about the mushroom murder trial? Now there's no, what's the word? All the evidence is finished now, hasn't it? Erin Patterson had a mammoth sort of few days on the stand, giving her evidence with the defence, then being cross-examined. Then the defence came back to just clarify some things, and now that's it. The case is rested now, if you like. No more evidence will be heard. Today, Friday, is a day for legal deliberations. So the jury were given a day off, and they'll be back on Monday to listen to closing arguments from the defence and from the prosecution. And then the judge will be giving them the instructions, and then he'll be sending them out to deliberate on the verdicts. So we may get a verdict next week, but what did the judge say? It's how long is this piece of string? So I don't know how long closing arguments will take. We just don't know, do we? So we've definitely got another week to go before we get this verdict, I think. So I thought what we'd do this morning is we'd just go over some of the main points, and then I found on this ABC News Australia that we've been following their coverage. They've put together a good timeline of everything and the people involved and the people that have given evidence. And we just have a little reminder because it's, we're just finishing the 7th week. So there's a lot to remember from the beginning, isn't there? We've probably forgotten more than we knew about it. It's like going back, it seems like a long, long time ago now, when I think it was Simon, wasn't it? Erin's ex-partner. Ex-husband or estranged husband. It was him who started off the evidence, I think. So, we're going to go back and have a look at everything. So, right, there's a few things I want to say first of all, like admin things. Of course, a normal thank you so much for watching. Thank you for caring about these victims and about, being interested in this case, because these victims deserve to have people interested in them. Do you know, that was terrible what happened to them. So they deserve their justice, don't they? And we're going to look at in a minute at who the victims were and get a bit of a recap on all the main sort of points of this case. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Those are watching, liking the videos and sharing and subscribing. They're, of course, all free ways you can help my channel. If you enjoy the channel, special thanks to my members. And actually, I noticed as I just had a look at the chat when I came in, I think we have a new member. Thank you, Caddy B. Thank you so much. Yeah, unfortunately, we missed our members' live last night. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a special video for the members to make up for it. Unfortunately, it was circumstances beyond my control, but and we'll make up for it next Thursday. But what I'm going to do is put together the video about Summer and put it out as a members video, and then so it'll be members first, and then later on tonight it will go public. But or whenever I put it out, be members for a while, and members first, and then it will go out to the public later. What else? Oh yes, so thank you to everyone who's bought me a Ko-fi, who's sent me a super sticker, PayPal me, sent me a nice email, left a nice comment. I do get some lovely comments, so I really appreciate that. Those sort of things mean a lot as well, because sometimes just like with everything, I do think, oh God, sometimes it can be a bit depressing covering true crime. And I think, where am I going with the channel? Or I get all this, we all have our moments, don't we? Or real life gets in the way. When I say real life, my real life, you get problems or things happen. And so it's always the nice comments, the emails, etc. People feeling appreciated, that always makes me carry on. So thank you for that. I also just wanted to say that, because it's something that I never say, and I don't really do enough promotion, but never mind. On my Ko-fi page, that is where you will find the merch. And when I say the merch, there's very little on there at the moment, because that was something I set up and I was going to add to it. And then, of course, you know what? That old enemy time always catches up with me. I've never got enough time to do what I want to do. But I'm going to add a lot more merch to that. And, you can, virtually I can put on anything on there. I can design anything on the place where I design, like mugs or... Anyway, if you have any suggestions, let me know. Send me an email. Let me know what you think people would like to buy on merch, if they'd like to buy anything. But I just want to say that somebody recently did buy something. I won't mention who they are because they might want to be private. And thank you for that. And it's reminded me that I don't promote the merch enough. But the merch is on my Ko-fi account. Okay, so I think that's more or less... Take the banners off. That's the thanks. What I wanted to say. Oh, I've got a list Oh yeah, I was going to tell you about the weather here. It is already here in Spain. If people don't know, I'm here in Spain. It is already 26 degrees. It's only 12 in the morning. It's very humid today. It's not sunny. It's very cloudy, which helps with the heat a little bit. But unfortunately, it's humid. The humidity is quite sort of it makes you tired, you know. So what else happened? Yeah, I've covered that. Oh yeah, I mean, I've had another technological nightmare with a phone where I've lost a number that I've had for about 20 years. And anyway, I'm going to try and get it back. So there's been a lot of SIM card. Oh, I felt like Erin In fact, look, this is my Erin Patterson look. This has been me today, looking over with my glasses. No, she does look a bit scary, doesn't she, when she looks over her glasses? I've been doing the Erin Patterson this morning, taking SIM cards out, moving them around, putting them in different phones. You name it, I've been doing it. I felt, but like, believe me, I don't want to do it. So there's always a reason why you have to do those things. Nobody thinks, oh, I think I'll have a mess around with my SIM cards this morning. Or, yeah, I think I'll, sort of freak my head out by seeing if I can get my phone sorted or get my WhatsApp sorted. This is what I've been trying to get sorted. Nobody does that without a reason, do they? Nobody wants to fiddle about with SIM cards and stuff. But Erin was doing it because, of course, she had a reason to do it, didn't she? Because she was trying to cover her tracks. Wasn't she? Or that's how it feels to me anyway. Okay, so did I say hello, lovely lurkers? Hello, replay crew. And now I'm coming into the chat to say hello to all of you that are brave enough to venture into the chat. Let's have a look. So, hi KDB, hi David, hi Bluebell, hi Angel. Oh, you're welcome. Angel's not awake. Listen, if it wasn't so early, I'd already be on this. I'm telling you. When I saw that on the news this morning, I just thought, oh, for God's sake. That's it. You just can't take anything too seriously. You've just got to live each moment like it's your last, because it may well be. Yeah. Everyone's sleepy. Get some coffee down here. Hi, Bluebell. Yeah. I know. I feel your pain, Bluebell. Feel your pain. And, don't like to cast aspersions, but the reason I'm having problems with my SIM card is because somebody wanted to borrow my phone. And, don't even go there. No, I haven't done a factory reset. Do you know what, Angel? Maybe accidentally, like Stefan Stearns, maybe I just pressed the wrong button and I've done a factory reset. Maybe it was just accidental, though. Oh, could see me standing in court and they'd be saying, why did you have to this morning? What have I done? I've taken a SIM card out. I've put 2 SIM cards in one phone because I've got a phone that does a dual SIM card. Then I took one of them out to try because it didn't work for the number that I wanted it to work for. Then I put that back in. Then I took the other one out and then I put that one back in. So what would they make of that in a court? Oh my God, my SIM card's been in and out of that phone. They've all been, and nothing's worked. So I've got to contact my provider and see if I can get this number back. I've lost the number. So, it's been discontinued and I want it back. Oh dear. Yeah. Okay, so let's just look at this video first of all, which just sums up what's going to happen next. next. And this is an Instagram video from one of the news media people. And I think it's a good video because it just sort of succinctly puts what's going to happen now, because now that the evidence phase has finished, what happens now? So let's see.
Evidence. What does it mean in terms of what's next for the mushroom murder trial? Well, today is actually a non-jury sitting day, so the jury gets a nice long weekend, and they'll be back in court at 10:30 on Monday morning. So the next thing that they'll be hearing in the courtroom is closing statements from both sides of the bar table. So both the prosecution and the defence will put their closing arguments to the jury. Then the next thing they'll hear is something called the judge's charge, which is when Justice Beale gives his final directions to the jury before they go out for deliberations. Now, we don't know exactly how long this is all going to take. It's at least going to be a couple of days, so that will take us well into next week. But we'll continue to keep you up to date on here, so be sure to give me a follow and always take a look at the 9Now app as well. And of course, we will always have all the latest in our 9 News bulletins at 4 and
Right, I'm going to play that one more time. So that's 9 News Instagram. That was an interesting, just a quick video, wasn't it? But it was an interesting insight into what's going to happen next. Have I followed her? I can't remember if I followed her or not. But yeah, so it might be worth, if you're an Instagram person, I don't go on Instagram very much. I have Instagram just to have.
Now that Erin Patterson has finished giving evidence, what does it mean in terms of what's next for the mushroom murder trial? Well, today is actually a non-jury sitting day, so the jury gets a nice long weekend, and they'll be back in court at 10:30 on Monday morning. So the next thing that they'll be hearing in the courtroom is closing statements from both sides of the bar table. So both the prosecution and the defence will put their closing arguments to the jury. Then the next thing they'll hear is something called the judge's charge, which is when Justice Beale gives his final directions to the jury before they go out for deliberations. Now, we don't know exactly how long this is all going to take. It's at least going to be a couple of days, so that will take us well into next week. But we'll continue to keep you up to date on here, so be sure to give me a follow and always take a look at the 9Now app as well. And of course, we will always have all the latest in our 9 News bulletins at 4 and 6 o'clock.
So that's what we can expect.
Now that Erin Patterson has finished giving evidence, what does it mean in terms of what's next for the...
That's what we can expect next. So I thought I'd take advantage, if you like, of this sort of lull in the proceedings for us to just look back over sort of what we know so far. Now, actually, while I just think about it, I did a poll, didn't I? I did a poll on my channel. Let's see what the results are so far. I haven't checked it. I did a poll. Is Erin guilty? Oh, I can't find it now. Thought I did do one, didn't I? Am I on the wrong... Thought I did a poll. Maybe I didn't. Or maybe I did it on my other channel, which doesn't have as many subscribers, so it may not many people might have. Yeah, put it on the wrong channel for a start. It had 23 votes all the same, and the result is oh no, it was on my channel. Anyway, 78% of the people that participated in the poll think that Erin will be found guilty or is guilty. There's nobody thinks she's not guilty. 0, nil point for not guilty. And not sure, 22%. So it looks like we've got the majority for yes, she's guilty. 22% not sure, and So, and nobody saying she's not guilty. That's interesting. Not one person saying not guilty. It's either sort of round about 78, 80% guilty, and then 22% not sure. Now, I did put one on X as well, but I haven't got that many followers on X, really. I don't even know how many followers I've got on X, but let's see if I can find what came up there. I think I did. Yeah. Just very similar. 16 votes. 87, but a bit higher percentage. 87.5% guilty. No, nobody. So nobody's saying no, she's not guilty. So that's a bit worrying for Erin as it comes up to the jury deciding. I'm not sure, 12%. So it seems like everybody's either thinking she's guilty or they don't know. Nobody's saying not guilty. Or on my polls, of course. Not that the juries are on my polls, but just interesting, isn't it? Interesting that nobody's saying not guilty, because normally you get at least one person who doesn't think someone's guilty, even in these controversial cases. So, but nobody has so far said, maybe not intentional. That is the thing to me, is it intentional or not? Well, apparently it doesn't make any difference. So, it's still murder, whether it was intentional or not, because it was premeditated. So we'll see. Oh, I wanted to show you, I've got a new picture. I was saying about Justice Beale. I wasn't happy that this is the judge in the case, but I couldn't find a picture of him with a wig on or even any judge's robes. So I've put one together. Bear in mind, he doesn't wear a wig. In fact, I don't think anyone wears a wig. It doesn't, even the barristers and that. It feels like they wear robes. We've seen that Colin Mandy does wear robes, and Nanette Rogers, the prosecution, the prosecutor. So, but I didn't have a picture of Justice Beale in any court type paraphernalia. So I've put one together, and maybe you won't be happy. I'm not trying to be facetious. I think judges should wear robes and wigs or whatever. At least, it's I believe in formality. Don't like this informal world that we live in now. I'm afraid I just don't like it. So I'm old school because I'm old. So I like people to dress nice. I like the formality of court situations. They're so serious and important, and the gravitas. It's the same with politics and things like that. Everything. Where's the gravitas? These are important things that talk about people's lives. You can't get more important than that. Politics, courtroom situations, etc. These are dealing with people's lives. So they should be serious. So I've put him a thing on, but I've put some mushrooms next to it. They're not death cap mushrooms. They were just mushrooms that came off my Canva accounts. But yeah, so whether he likes it or not, I've got him a nice little wig on there, and he looks nice. They look more serious, don't they? Don't look like he's going to a discotheque now. Hi, Admit. Yeah, that's a good idea, David. That's such a good idea. So when I'm covering like the final verdicts in trials, that's exactly what I should wear, isn't it? And have a gavel. That I should be. I like Judge Judy. I would have liked to have been a judge as well as a prosecutor. I like watching Judge Judy, so I pick up my tips. People learn everything from the internet these days, don't they? Why should you have to go to law school? But that's what I like on Judge Judy when she says, when someone tries to give their opinion or whatever, she goes, the only opinion that counts here is mine. When you've done 7 years in law school, then you can give your opinion. You know, she's just so good. But, you know, yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good idea. A wig or a gown or some sort of thing when verdicts are coming up. So, of course, we did, sorry, just digressing. We did get the verdict yesterday in the latest Fruit Loop, Laurie Vallow Daybell, however, she's been married 6 times, I think, that woman, however many surnames she's got, but basically she's just a twonkess of the highest order. I mean, you know, I didn't cover that because really, I mean, I touched on it occasionally because, of course, this was going on. But, you know, that also, that woman, sometimes I'm just tired of her. You know, I've watched a lot of her trials. You know, this is a woman, she's, you know, she was conspired to murder her own children, her ex-husband, her new husband's wife. You know, and there are other bodies that lie in her wake that I wouldn't be surprised she had something to do with. Another husband of hers died in mysterious circumstances, but no charges have ever been brought against that. And this, of course, this case was hopefully the last time we have to see this horrible woman, because she's been representing herself in the past 2 court cases, which is so offensive, I think, to the victims and the victims' families. Anyway, in this last one, the actual, you know, target of the hit, Brandon Boudreau or something like that, her niece Melanie's husband, he survived the attempt on his life. So she had to face him in, you know, and I think that's why she was ill at the beginning of the trial, because that's the first time she's actually had to face a victim, because they've all been dead otherwise. So she's just been facing their families, maybe. But she had to actually face a victim, and she did rubbish. She didn't present any defence, and the reason she didn't present any defence is because there wasn't any defence. Her only defence seemed to be that Brandon maybe had tried to do it to himself just for attention or something, and she kept trying to bring up the fact that she thought that Brandon was gay, but you know, as if that mattered, because it had no relevance whatsoever whether he is or he isn't. You know, it's not relevant to whether you conspired to murder someone, is it? But what is it? Oh yeah, conspired to murder him. Go, it's okay because he's gay. You know, it was the most ludicrous defence. She also had a lot of spats with the judge, who I think is gay as well, or I mean, may be wrong, but I think that's why her charms didn't work on him as well, because she kept trying to charm him and he was left completely. And she says if somebody's not bowled over by her, she says it's discrimination and bias. But basically what it is she's talking a load of rubbish. So the judge was very good, I thought, in that case, and he was very fair to Laurie. I think he had a lot of patience with her, seeing how the objectionable way she behaved. Anyway, she's been found guilty. So she's now been found guilty of God knows how many crimes, hasn't she? So she'll probably appeal. I don't know what she'll do, but hopefully we have to see her again. We'll see her again when she gets sentenced. But after that, really, hopefully she goes in that sin bin. I think I'm going to call that bin thing the sin bin. When someone goes in the sin bin, hope I never mention their name again, and we never have to see them again. Because they've been convicted, they've been sentenced, and that's the end of them. Hopefully. Hi, Lily Pauly. So let's see. Where are we? Yeah, Katie, exactly. Exactly. This is what Judge Judy says all the time. And I think about that in life as well. You know, when people, I think they're telling me a lie. And it's true. If it doesn't make sense, it isn't true. And she's normally spot on, isn't she? You know, I know that the program will be edited to make it look like she's always right. But I think she probably nearly almost is right. I mean, think about Judge Judy, whatever you think of her or not, she's done 40 years of it, hasn't she? 40 years of family courts, and she'll have a good instinct. You know, whatever people say, you get an instinct when you do a job for that long, whether it be a policeman even, or, you know, I think even in my Spanish teaching, soon as someone starts Spanish classes, I know if they're going to learn it or not. Now, I always say everybody can learn Spanish. Some people find it easier than others. Some people have to put a lot of work into it. Some people don't have to put much work in it because they've got a gift for languages. But within the first class, probably, but certainly the first couple of classes, I know if somebody's going to learn any Spanish or not. Because I've been teaching Spanish for 20 years, over 20 years, so I've got an instinct about students. Judge Judy, she gets an instinct about whether people are telling her the truth. Now, it has to be backed up by evidence. Of course it does. But you can't take away from that instinct that someone who's been doing that for 40 years has, like in police terms, call it a hunch, don't they? Or they had a hunch. Well, that's just an instinct. And we get it all the time in normal life, but a lot of the time we don't choose to listen to our instincts, do we? You know, we sort of talk ourselves, go, no, they wouldn't do that. No, you know, we do that all the time, but we should listen more to our instincts because, you know, that is our sixth sense. You know, we've got our sense, you know, what we see, what we hear, what we feel, etc. But we also have got this extra sense. I think we've all felt it probably sometimes. Some people hone it, you know, and really sort of, you know, and that's basically what an empath is, isn't it? They hone into, they can feel so many emotions from people and what they, you know, someone could literally, I think somebody can say something to me, to my face, and in my head I'm thinking, you don't mean that, you mean this. It's just almost as if I just know. And, you know, but I always doubt myself. But what I've come to learn as I've got older, not to doubt myself. But it can get overwhelming, that, because you get overwhelmed by all these senses that are coming off people. And it's all right if they're positive things, but if they're negative, it actually is overwhelming. That's why empaths like to spend a lot of time on their own, don't they? Because other people's energies, if they're negative energies, they just zap you, don't they? So I was waffling there. You know, I like a bit of waffle. Like a bit of waffle. Hi, Lieza. Oh, I'm sure the siren will come out at some point today. Oh, I admit, Friday the 13th. Oh, yeah, a bit more waffle. So Friday the 13th for me is actually supposedly a lucky day because number one son was born on the 13th, on a Friday the 13th. And I was given a choice. You know, when that Meghan Markle video that came out made me laugh because she was well overdue, wasn't she? I was at least 2 weeks overdue. I was like a zeppelin. I couldn't even walk. And I got booked in for an induction. And they said to me, well, it's either Friday, but it's Friday the 13th, or you have to wait till Monday. And I just said, just do it. Just do it. I don't care that it's Friday the 13th. So, yeah, 13 supposedly is a look, because it all went fine, you know, it went without a problem. So, yeah. And, you know, in Spain, anyway, I'm in Spain, and in Spain, it's Tuesday the 13th that is unlucky, not Friday the 13th. So, technically, if you're in Spain, Friday the 13th is nothing. Yeah. There you go, Bluebell's dad was born on Friday the 13th. Okay, so it just feel more relaxed today because it's not all that, because all that evidence we've gone through day in, day out. It's been really intense since Erin took the stand, hasn't it? So before that, you know, we had these short days or like a change around of different experts and everything talking. Then once Erin took the stand, it did get really intense, and it was full on long days. I mean, that must have been difficult for Erin, really. I mean, if you were being grilled like that when it came to the cross-examination over all that length of time, hours and hours and hours, you would find that difficult, wouldn't you? But Erin was very calm and composed, wasn't she? Funny that, really. Let's have a look at Erin. Yeah, very calm and composed. In fact, she was even leery, wasn't she? Leery with the prosecutor when she was cross-examining her. She was almost cross-examining the prosecutor, wasn't she? Nanette Rogers. She was sort of like challenging her, So I think Erin took it all in a stride, to be honest. And that says something about her as far as I'm concerned. I think Erin is a very cold, calculating character. She's very sinister. She puts on a front that, of one thing, and inside she's something completely different. She's got an elevated self-esteem. She said she's got maybe her body self-esteem is not very good. That's what she said, wasn't it? She was trying to make everyone feel sorry for her by saying she'd had this low body image, esteem, etc., and bulimia, and this, that, and the other, which is very sad and very serious things that people do suffer from. But I do also think Erin, she thinks herself superior in other ways. She feels she's got a low body image, body esteem, but I think mentally she thinks she's far superior to everybody, even the prosecutor. She's a bit like Laurie Daybell. I can see echoes of Laurie Daybell in her. Next thing we know, I'm surprised she didn't try herself. Maybe can't do that in Australia. Maybe when it comes to an appeal, Erin will decide to sack the defence and decide she's going to do it because, over the trials that I've watched on true crime, for years, the ones that end up defending themselves are the biggest psychos, in my opinion. You've got people like Rodney Alcala, you've got Ted Bundy. These are people who have defended themselves at trial, and that's what Laurie Daybell chose to do because she's a full out and out, full-blown psycho. I would never be surprised to see Erin defending herself because I think she's got very high opinion of herself. Okay. Right, so we are getting into this now, I promise. Where are we? Not that one. Where's it gone? So we're going to look at the timeline of alleged events, and we're going to look at the key people that have been involved in this trial. And I'm going to read from this ABC News article, but also I'm going to interject with things that I remember, and please you interject with anything you remember that you think is relevant. So it's like a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll have a little bit of an open panel about it. Any questions you want to put up, anything you want clarifying, I'll keep trying to remember to come to the chat and see what people are asking. And and even if you want to come onto screen, you can. I keep forgetting to offer this, but anybody who wants to actually come and say something on my channel, you can come up and say something. You'll soon get cut off if you're being horrible. I mean, don't mean anything horrible. Anything that you want to say, to interject about this case. You don't have to show your face. You can do it without a camera, without a picture. You can just do it. You can put an anonymous name on there. But if you did want to come and actually say something, we do that. So feel free. In fact, I wonder if Okay. So if you do want to, there's a link there. Hi, Excel. You're welcome to come up and say something, as long as it's respectful, of course, as always. So let's see what they've got to say. So, Erin Patterson is accused of intentionally poisoning 4 people during a lunch at her home in 2023. So, that's the first thing we have to remember. This was 2 years ago. It's almost to the day, isn't it? Or almost, because that wasn't it July, end of July. So, yeah, just short of 2 years ago, this happened. This was Erin when she was caught out by reporters and she decided to give an interview, pretend to cry. It just wasn't a good idea. She shouldn't have done that, to be honest. And perhaps she should have been protected from that because, people would judge her on that. You just can't help it. So, Miss Patterson's parents-in-law, Donald and Gail Patterson, along with relatives Ian and Heather Wilkinson, became violently ill due to a meal consisting of beef Wellington that contained deaf cat mushrooms. And Don and Gail and Heather died while Ian survived. So let's just remind ourselves, I think you all probably know by now, I think you all probably, know what they look like by now. We've been constantly looking at these victims. There's Don on the left, Gail, his wife, Heather, her sister, and Ian, the only survivor he's given evidence at this case. And Erin, supposedly, of course, made this lovely, well, not this, but this is not the beef Wellington she made. This is just an example of a beef Wellington. But she made individual beef Wellingtons, didn't she? Not just one big one to slice off, but individual small beef Wellingtons, one for each of her guests and herself, which apparently she served on 4 grey plates for the guests and a different colour and size plate for hers, individual beef Wellingtons. And inside those beef Wellingtons, this is a definite, were deaf cat mushrooms, which are a highly toxic mushroom found in Australia a couple of times a year in certain parts of the country, and where there are oak trees, normally nearby oak trees. And it's been proven really beyond a doubt that there were deaf cat mushrooms in that beef Wellington, which Erin said were dehydrated mushrooms that she bought from an Asian grocer that she couldn't remember where it was, what its name was, even what area it was in. Sent the sort of health services department off on a wild goose chase, looking to where these deaf cat mushrooms might have been bought, but nobody else was ill. There can't have been any others sold by that Asian supermarket if it ever did exist, because nobody else was ill. So, that was the end of that. That really, to me, just proves that it didn't come from the Asian grocers, because just one packet with a few deaf cat mushrooms in it? Nobody else, no other packet contaminated? Anyway, there were traces of deaf cat mushroom in this dehydrator, which actually Erin had thrown away, had taken to the dump. And she blamed Simon for that. Her ex-husband, Simon, let's have a look at him. Ex-husband. He's not her ex-husband. They're estranged. She keeps saying that. It's not my ex-husband. It's not my ex-husband. I feel like with Erin and Simon, she doesn't want him, but she doesn't want to be divorced from him. She's very much at pains to keep repeating he is still her husband. She blamed him for that, because she said that Simon said to her, after the lunch guests got ill, she said that Simon said to her, "Oh, is that dehydrator what you used to kill my parents?" And she said, because he said that, that's why she went and dumped the dehydrator, because it put her into a panic and she got scared. I mean, it's just ludicrous what she's saying. In fact, that needs a siren. Oh, I'm meant to get a bigger siren. I'll save it for next week. Yeah, meant to get a bigger one, but it's just been chaos as usual. You know, there's always some chaos going on. What with the StreamYard and the SIM cards. So I think this was a big lie she told, that Simon had actually said to her, is that the dehydrator you used to kill my parents? Now, she insists he did say that, but Simon says, no, he didn't say that. Who do we believe? Who do we believe? The serial liar, Erin Patterson, who's lied about having cancer, lied about having MRI scans, lied about biopsies, lied about liposuction, lied about gastric bands, lied about everything. Who do we believe, I wonder? Let me just think about that for a minute. That's it. That's the trouble when you tell lie after lie. It's hard to believe anything you say. I really feel now that if Erin did tell the truth about something, I don't know if I'd be able to believe her. You know, how do you believe someone who tells that many lies? I don't know the difference between truth and lies. So, you know, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? So, juries. Sorry, Kade is asking a question there. Oh, I've lost it. So I think I can't see it now, but no, juries are not supposed to research anything, only what they're told in the courtroom. They're not supposed to Google anything about the case. They're not supposed to discuss it with anyone except the other jury members. Now, I'm not saying that they haven't done that, but they're instructed not to do it. And if it's found out that she has done that, the jury have done that, they will be removed as jury members, and one of the other jury members will be used. They've already removed one jury member, haven't they, that the judge got wind that they'd been discussing the case with family and friends. Don't know how, but one jury member has been removed already. So she has maintained her innocence since her arrest in November 2023, with her defence making the case that the poisonings were a tragedy and a terrible accident. Now, the problem the defence is, you know, they've got no defence apart from her. They called no other witnesses, and they very hardly cross-examined the witnesses that the prosecution brought. You know, they didn't quiz the witnesses very hard, and they have brought no other defence witnesses. I mean, it's pretty bad, isn't it, when your only defence witness is Erin, who's a confirmed liar, an admitted liar, because although she's saying now it was a tragedy and a terrible accident, you know, the other things that she told that were down and out lies, where she first said to the police that about the dehydrator. She didn't have a dehydrator, but she did. She also said that she'd never gone foraging for mushrooms, and now it turns out she knows loads about mushrooms. So, you know, that was two big lies she told the police. Then all the things about the phones. There's been things that she's said that her own children have refuted. I mean, good God, we could go through a massive list, couldn't we, of all the untruths that Erin Patterson has told. So she said the morning after the lunch, right, let me get get ready for a big siren thing now, because I'm going to just outline as many of the lies that I can think of, but there'll be more. There's always more. That's a famous line from The Walking Dead. Oh, I'm full of these quotes from The Walking Dead. So let me think. To look back to the first lie would be difficult because she told so many. So she said, let's see. She said that when she got up the morning after the lunch, she was drinking ginger tea because she had a bad tummy. Her son said she was drinking coffee. She says he's mistaken. Erin said that when she took her son to his flying lesson the following day, that she decided to take him to anyway, even though supposedly she had an upset tummy, that she said that she had to stop the car and go for a poo basically behind a tree because she couldn't, because of her upset tummy. Her son said, oh God, this is like Family Fortunes, isn't it? Her son said, no, she didn't. She didn't stop to go to the toilet once on that journey. Now, she did stop once on that journey where she went in the restroom, didn't she, at the services? She was in there 9 seconds. Right, where are we going from here? So then she said, what was the next thing she said? Or maybe these will probably be out of order. When she was at the hospital, after she found out her relatives or her husband's relatives were ill, and she went to the hospital, she stayed 5 minutes the first time, despite having been told that her relatives were desperately ill and she might get that ill and she might even need a liver transplant. Then the doctor was so concerned about her, he tried to call her a couple of times. She signed a discharge paper to say she was discharging herself. And the doctor was so worried about her, he tried to contact her. She never got back to him, but she says she did. So the doctor said, no, she never got back to him. Erin said, yes, she tried a couple of times to get back to him. So the doctor's wrong as well. What was the other thing? So then she told, God, you lose track. So she'd already told her mother-in-law, Gail, a couple of weeks before, that she was going for a biopsy on a lump on her arm. But she's saying, she told Gail that was a lie. She said she had to have an MRI to Gail and made Gail worry about her. It was a lie. So then at the lunch, she told them she had ovarian cancer. So I don't know what's that's got to do with your arm. I mean, if you've got ovarian cancer, do you get lumps on your arm? Maybe you do. I don't know. Luckily, I hope I never have to find out. So she told the guest she had ovarian cancer, according to the survivor. But Erin said, no, she didn't say that. She didn't say that. She just said possibly she had it. But Ian was adamant. She said she definitely had it. So she said to the jury that the reason she said that she had ovarian cancer was because she was going for a gastric bypass. And she was too embarrassed to say she was having a gastric bypass, so she said she had cancer instead. Then it turned out she had never made an appointment for gastric bypass. So she said, oh, it might have been liposuction. Then it turns out that the clinic where she said she'd had that appointment don't any longer do any of those kind of procedures, have never done gastric bypass, used to do liposuction. Anyway, in the end, she cancelled those appointments. She says she never went for those appointments. And these appointments were supposedly the reason she had lied about having cancer. Too embarrassed to say, I've got cancer, I'm going for a gastric bypass. So I know what I'll do. I'll say I've got ovarian cancer instead. I haven't even got through them all, but that's enough for now. All the Pinocchios coming out. Oh dear. So, it's the lies. I mean, this isn't going to look good, is it? To the it's not going to look good to the jury, is it? If you were on the jury, even if you might start off feeling a little sympathy towards Erin, how many more lies can you get found out on before people start to think, hi, Miss Lee. How many lies? How many lies before you just zone out and even stop listening? God, I'd like to be a fly on the wall with that jury, to be honest, but oh, you just reminded me, Bluebell, of another lie. So she says Erin had told all her friends she was an atheist, but she's told the court she's a Christian, hasn't she? So there's another one. What is she? You can't be an atheist and a Christian, can you? Oh, and let's not forget that she told her Facebook friends about putting all those mushrooms in her children's chocolate brownies. What was that about? The only reason she put those dried mushrooms in her children's chocolate brownies was to see if she could successfully, powder them into oblivion and make it so that they couldn't taste them. She experimented with her own children, and I still think, although, she might love her children and she didn't want to kill them on that day because she said, oh, that's right, she sent them away. Her daughter said, oh, here we go again. Her daughter said that her mum had said to her, look, I'm having people over to lunch. I want to talk about some adult things. So you're going to the cinema. Erin says, oh no, her daughter wanted to go to the cinema. She didn't want to stay for the lunch. So again, who's lying? Who's lying? So what? Erin stopped short of saying anyone's lying. She says, oh, they must be mistaken. Or that's not my memory of it. Or, because as we saw, she's practically got senile dementia. She forgets so much. But I'll never forget that yesterday when Nanette Rogers got the day wrong. I wonder if she did that on purpose. That's a good ploy, isn't it? If I ever become a prosecution barrister, I must remember that. Say something wrong on purpose, because don't forget this, Erin as a defendant, her main defence is she can't remember anything, or they must have been mistaken. So then Nanette Rogers mentioned a specific day and Erin was right in there. No, I don't mean to be argumentative, but I think that was actually a Friday. How did you remember that? How did you remember a date over 2 years ago? What day it was? She was straight in there like a ballistic missile. Aimed straight, to try and make the prosecutor look stupid because she's got the day wrong. And she had got the day wrong. Makes you wonder if the prosecutor did that on purpose, because, as I say, Erin, she remembered that, okay. She's got selective memory, Erin, hasn't she? Yeah. Very strange person, isn't she? Okay, let's go back to this. So there's so much to go over, isn't it? So this is the timeline that the prosecutors allege. So here's some of the, I nearly said characters, but I mean, these are real people. This is so bizarre, this case. It does feel like something off a true crime series or something, doesn't it? Doesn't feel like it could be real. So we've got Erin. Erin is accused of killing 3 people. She has maintained her innocence. She is a university graduate and a qualified air traffic controller. Oh God, I'd completely forgotten about that. So she was an air traffic controller. Oh my God. Oh my God. So she's got to be reasonably clever. She's got to have a reasonably good memory. So, a university graduate and a qualified air traffic controller, she met her husband, Simon, when they both worked at Monash City Council. She remains married to Simon, with whom she shares 2 children. Now, that's something that people are a bit thingy about Simon about. Why has he not divorced her? You know, you don't know what money's involved here, do you? There's a lot of money in this case as well. So, you know, to me, this case is all about jealousy, spite, and money. You know, these are things, there's a combination of all of it, isn't it? You know, Erin inherited a lot of money and she was generous with it, apparently. But I honestly think I've met people like this, they're generous. And then they try and take it all back off you. And not only that, they get, if they don't think you're being grateful enough, it's like, I've lent you that money. You should be eternally grateful and in my service forever. You know, that's how I think Erin is. I think part of this is she just felt that as the distance grew between her and the family, she likes being queen bee. She didn't like it when she stopped getting invited to things. You know, how dare they not invite me? You know, I'm the queen bee in this family. That's how I think she thinks of it. So her estranged husband described her as very intelligent and quite witty. And he says she was an atheist before she met him and has struggled with depression and self-esteem issues over the years. Now that's very sad. Depression and self-esteem issues, but she's not the only one. I don't mean to be horrible, but many people suffer with depression and self-esteem issues. They don't go off poisoning their relatives, do they? Yeah, you know, she's met, I'm sure she has had depression and self-esteem issues, but then I think on the other hand, I think she thinks she's superior. So she told the court she'd struggled with binge eating during her life. Now, food is a big part of this case, isn't it? It's like Erin has got quite an obsession with food, I think. And, you know, that may have come from her childhood, that, you know, and being obsessed with food. I thought it was quite key when she said that her parents would make beef Wellington on special occasions. She obviously relates beef Wellington with big events, because this is something, you know, she learned when she was a child. Do you know, it's like, you know, you don't, if you remember that, oh, you know, when I was a kid, if it was a birthday or if it was a special celebration, my mum would make beef Wellington. You remember the meals your parents made, don't you? I mean, I do. I mean, we had like a very sort of typical, I think my parents were so typical of their generation. We had the same thing, like, so Mondays we would have, Mondays, well, I'll always remember Mondays were shepherd's pie, always, without doubt, you know, and that, you know, when I never, well, I won't say never, but I rarely eat shepherd's pie. Now, not that I don't like it, it's just the faff making it. But I can't remember particularly what Tuesdays were, but Tuesdays might have been lamb chops, and Wednesday would have been, they were all meat, veg and gravies. My dad didn't like foreign food. Every now and again, my mum would break out and make a spaghetti bolognese or a Hungarian goulash, which was more or less just stew, really. And he would eat that, my dad. Fridays were fish, of course, fish and chips on a Friday, because you were supposed to eat fish on a Friday. What would we have on Saturday? I don't think we had a specific meal on a Saturday, and Sunday would be a roast dinner. So, you know, our meals were very, but if I was to think of something that my mum would make for a special occasion, that would be like her spaghetti bolognese. Honestly, it is the best spaghetti bolognese that I've ever eaten. You know, she wasn't, would never thought my mum was a good cook, but she was better at those kind of things. You know, I always felt like her mashed potato was always lumpy and stuff like that. But she, you know, and the veg, of course, as was at the time, it was boiled within an inch of his life, so it was just like mush. But I think you do remember these things. If you think about meals that maybe as a child you would have that resonate. And I think beef Wellington, there's something about this beef Wellington. There's a reason why she chose beef Wellington. Obviously, she wanted to put the mushrooms in there, but she mentioned about it when she was a child. The court has heard that Erin has been financially stable for many years and was the beneficiary of an inheritance from her grandmother in 2006. And in 2019, Erin began making connections with other people online via a Kelly Lane true crime Facebook group. And during the COVID-19 lockdowns, Erin said she became interested in foraging and began picking and eating wild mushrooms. So that's what she finally admitted to. But again, we've got to remember that from the beginning, Erin said she never foraged. She never foraged. Mate, we're all getting hungry now. Yeah, I'm getting hungry as well. I could have spaghetti bolognese, actually. I've got stuffing for spaghetti bolognese. So, yeah. So remember this foraging lie as well. So suddenly now Erin is saying that she's done a lot of foraging, though her children don't remember. Her children and Simon say they don't ever remember Erin foraging. But she's saying now, yes, she did forage. Even though in the beginning she said she never did. Now she does. So we've got to believe what she's saying now, not what she said before. God, unbelievable. Battered sausage. Battered sausage, AA. Yeah, yeah. Are you giving me ideas now for lunch? So, gosh, where are we now? So that's Erin. Let's have a look at Simon. Simon is the estranged husband of Erin, from whom he's been separated since 2015. So they've been separated for 10 years. It's a long time, but they're still not divorced. How odd. His parents, Donald and Gail, and aunt and uncle Heather and Ian, attended the lunch. And Simon says his relationship with Erin was mainly characterised by her leaving him multiple times. And he told the court that Erin said the way they related to each other was toxic and their relationship deteriorated in late 2022 over disagreements regarding child support payments. And don't forget, Simon put on that tax form that he was separated, and Erin didn't like that, did she? On his tax form, he wrote he was separated instead of saying married, and Erin really threw her dummy out the pram over that. I think this is all relevant. It seems petty, but if you bear in mind they're still married after 10 years. Why hasn't he divorced her and why hasn't she divorced him? And I'll tell you why I think he says she left him multiple times. I think Erin would do that for attention. You know, she left him and then went back with him, left him, went back with him. She probably loved all the attention. And then maybe he'd stopped asking her to go back with him so much, because it seemed like it was her who wanted to finish the relationship, not him. Maybe he'd stopped asking her to go back over and over again. Maybe, you know, she felt that maybe he had somebody else. I mean, that hasn't been brought up. It wasn't asked. You know, I mean, and he's welcome to have somebody else. I've been split off 10 years, for God's sake. But makes you wonder, isn't it, what was different? Or is it as Erin was getting older, she felt more insecure? Maybe she was menopausal. She probably is, or perimenopausal. And although that doesn't make you murder someone, does it? Or it shouldn't. But it does affect people's frame of mind, of course. Okay, so Gail. Poor Gail, Simon's mum. She married Simon's dad in 1973 and they had 4 children together. They settled in Corranborough in 1984 and lived there till their deaths in August 2023. Gail had suffered from encephalitis, inflammation of the brain, a few years prior to her death. So is that why she was ill? Remember when they said that during COVID, was it? That they started doing the church services online, and Gail and Don were doing it, and then Gail got ill and Erin stepped in to help. So it looks like she did have a genuine illness, not something that Erin had done to her, but, you know, she'd been struggling with issues around her recovery. That poor woman. Do you know, honestly, I feel like crying for this woman. So she's gone through all that. Well, she's lived her life. She's getting to the golden years in her life, the twilight of her life, where she should be relaxing, enjoying her grandchildren, you know, just relaxing. Then she gets these illnesses. And then she's murdered, allegedly, by Erin Patterson. This poor woman, you know, that she was so vulnerable, wasn't she? What a hateful woman Erin is. She really is. I'm sorry, I don't even want to hold back about her. I think, you know, even if Erin is found not guilty on the grounds of maybe they haven't got enough proof or whatever, I don't think Erin will ever be innocent in the eyes of the public. I just don't think she will, and for good reason. Not for no reason. But yeah, just so sad. This poor woman. My heart breaks for Gail, especially. Well, all of them. Oh, I missed out Donald. So her husband, Don, so he was the one. So the court has heard that of all her guests at the lunch in question, he was the one that she was closest to, sharing a love of science, knowledge and books. And Don was a high school teacher before retiring in the early 2000s. And Donald died at 11:30 p.m. on August the 5th from multiple organ failure secondary to altered liver function due to clinically diagnosed Amanita mushroom poison. So he didn't die until the 5th of August. Does it say when Gail died? No. Oh, yeah. She died the day before at 5:55 p.m. Gosh. That sort of stopped me up. My son was born at that time at 5:55. Not on August the 4th, but exactly at 5:55. With multiple organ failure resulting from altered liver function due to clinically diagnosed Amanita mushroom poisoning. So, Gail died first, Donald died the day after. Ian is the survivor, of course. The only survivor except for Erin, of course. And he described when he gave his evidence on May the 6th how excited he and his wife had been to receive the lunch invite, how they believed it would improve their relationship with Erin. And he described details of the court to the lunch, including her reluctance to have her guests look at her pantry and the different plates that guests were served on. But Erin said that's not true. So going back to this now, get my siren on. Remember, Erin disputed Ian's testimony completely. And the court heard that Ian cannot remember several of the weeks following his admission to hospital after the lunch. The last thing Ian remembers was being given that charcoal, like it was, and then I think he was put in an induced coma. Then he had to have a transplant. So there were a few weeks that he doesn't remember. But he remembers the lunch and he remembers right up to going into hospital and being given this charcoal mixture. And then he remembers now. And this is his wife. So she was the younger sister of Gail. She was married to Ian. They had 4 children. She helped out at local school as a teacher's aide. And during the trial, Simon revealed that after guests began to fall ill, Heather had asked him about the crockery he used at the lunch. So Heather had noticed this crockery as well. She looked a little puzzled and she said, I noticed Erin served her food on a coloured plate, which was different to the rest. Heather was the first of the lunch guests to die, passing away at 2:50 a.m. on August the 4th from altered liver function and multiple organ failure with a clinical diagnosis of Amanita mushroom poisoning. How awful. You know, they all took quite a few days to die, didn't they? So then the Patterson children, who can't be named and we can't see photos of them because obviously they're underage, they gave their testimony during the trial via pre-recorded police interviews conducted in the weeks after the lunch. They both said they ate leftovers from the lunch. The parenting of both children has been raised several times during the trial, with tensions rising between Simon and Erin due to issues like child support and schools. And that was another thing the prosecution brought up, that even though, you know, her guests were already ill, she still fed her children leftovers, supposedly from that lunch. Even though she said she'd scraped the mushroom off them. So their son said, I know Dad does a lot of things to try and hurt Mum, such as messing around with the school, their son said. Both children said their mother reported feeling sick after the lunch, but still ran errands and spent time playing with them in the days afterwards. The evidence. The dehydrator. Well, we know about the dehydrator. There was residue of death cap mushroom in it, and it was dumped by Erin. The messages. Text message communication between Erin and her estranged husband has been tendered as evidence. Mr. Patterson was asked to read many of these messages aloud to the court, including an exchange where he declined that invitation to the lunch. He said, sorry, I feel too uncomfortable about coming to the lunch with you, Mum, Dad, Heather and Ian tomorrow, but I'm happy to talk about your health, because she told them that's why she wanted them all to be there, and implications of that at another time. If you'd like to discuss on the phone, just let me know. Feels like Simon had decided he didn't want any more lunches with Erin, because there are times when he was ill before where it's thought, you know, remember that initially Erin was accused of attempted murder against Simon, but that was dropped. So listen to Erin's response. That's really disappointing. I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, which has been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing. Don't forget, she wasn't facing any. And spent a small fortune on beef eye fillet, as if that's anybody else's fault except hers, to make beef Wellingtons because I wanted it to be a special meal, as I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time. Talk about emotional blackmail. So it's like, you've got to come to this lunch because I'm dying of cancer, which of course she wasn't. It's important to me that you're all there tomorrow. Yeah. And that I can have the conversations that I need to have. Yeah. I hope you'll change your mind. Your parents and Heather and Ian are coming at 12:30. I hope to see you there. That's like a threat, isn't it? So don't forget, she was right up to the day, I think she was hoping that he would turn up. So in her testimony, she said she wanted him to attend the lunch and conceded that her message referred to her as having medical issues. So there's another lie right there. Another lie right there. Yeah, because it's been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing. She wasn't facing any issues. There were no issues. She never stops with the lies, does she? She just never stops. It's actually exhausting having to keep put that siren on because she lies about everything. So then further messages on Signal regarding childcare arrangements, financial matters and logistics around live streaming from the local church were a focus for much of the few days of the trial. And messages from Erin's private Facebook group chat have also been shown to the court. And in those messages, Erin expressed her frustration with the Patterson family. Yeah, remember she swore about them. She said she was, this effing family, blah, de, blah, de, blah. And also it was her Facebook group that's a true crime group. Erin was known as the super sleuth in this true crime group. She vented a lot about Simon and about the family. She talked about her dehydrator. She told them she'd been putting mushrooms in everything. The mushrooms. Oh my God. So the mushrooms, of course, were the death cap mushrooms, though she said she used mushrooms from Woolworths and an Asian grocer. And, it's not disputed that it was death cap mushrooms that caused these poor people's death. So apparently this mushroom, the death cap mushroom, is estimated to be responsible for 9 out of every 10 poisoning deaths. Just one mushroom can kill an adult, but they are said to taste pleasant and look similar to edible mushrooms. Well, we can see they do look similar. So it can be hard for someone to eat them, who's eaten one, to even know they've been poisoned. And remember Funky Tom May, he gave evidence to say that they vary in colour and that a distinctive ring that grows on the stem can sometimes fall off older mushrooms. So they haven't always got that extra ring. Now, I want to show you a picture of Funky Tom now. We've got a picture of him, haven't we, that we look at every now and again. There he is, Funky Tom or Funky Tom. He was our mushroom expert. So, where are we? So let's go back. Where am I? Where am I? Seem to have lost. I've lost the. There it is. Let's put these other two down. I'm just going to put some windows down. Okay. So samples taken from both Don and Ian were found to contain death cap toxins, but samples taken from Heather and Gail did not. So that was interesting that came up. But it was thought that, it's thought that it could have passed through their bodies already. It's strange, isn't it, that samples from Don and Ian contain the death cap toxins, but the samples from Heather and Gail didn't. And yet they died first, I think, did they? Well, Ian hasn't died. Ian survived. And I think Heather and Gail died before Don. Anyway, samples taken from Erin Patterson and her 2 children also showed no evidence of the presence of death cap toxins. Now, we'll go to the web. We do it in the order that it is. So remember this website, the iNaturalist website. Erin had been on it. This was the website where it had been logged from Tom May, that he made the post saying that he'd seen the mushrooms in Outram. And then later Erin's phone had pinged in that area. And then another the poisons expert we heard from, Christine McKenzie, I don't think I've got a picture of her, but maybe somewhere, but told the trial she had posted her own observation of death cap mushrooms in the loch area to the iNaturalist website on April the 18th. So the 2 times that people had posted that they'd seen death cap mushrooms, Erin Patterson travelled to both those areas soon after the posts were made to the site. And the first one in Loch, was it the first one? No, Outram. The day after, Erin bought a dehydrator. So the lunch itself, the July 29th lunch consisted of beef Wellington, mashed potato, green beans and packet gravy cooked by Miss Patterson. And the court heard that lunch guests Heather and Gail also brought a cake and a fruit platter. Now remember, Erin then supposedly later ate 3 portions of that cake and then threw it up immediately afterwards. So I think that was another way she was trying to say that's why she'd not been affected so much, because she'd been sick. Erin detailed the preparation of the beef Wellington during her testimony, saying she had taken the recipe from Nagi Mayesh's recipe, Tin Eats Dinner cookbook, but made deviations to the recipe. Yeah, you bet she made deviations to the recipe. Putting in death cap mushrooms was one of them. So she said she used a combination of mushrooms from an Asian grocer and Woolworths to make a mushroom paste. And the leftovers of beef Wellington recovered from Erin's bin tested positive for toxins found in death cap mushrooms. Now, don't forget, of course, when Erin first went to hospital, she discharged herself after 5 minutes, and we don't know what Erin did in the nearly 2 hours before she went back to that hospital. So she discharged herself, even though she'd been told that she could potentially be severely ill and that she needed to be checked out. And she may end up needing a liver transplant. Oh, no, I'm fine. Oh, no, I've got to go home and sort the animals out. Off she went and didn't go back for nearly 2 hours. She said she went home and had to lie down. Do you imagine having to lie down after you've just been told that you might be dying? So according to testimony from both Ian and Erin, Ian and Heather ate all their portions. Don Patterson ate his portion and also half of his wife's, Gail's, portion. And Erin said she ate about 1/3 of her own meal, telling the court she was too distracted by the conversation at the table, and that was disputed as well by the others. Ian told the court during his testimony that dessert was served on the same plates, but very little was eaten. And Erin told the court she ate the remaining 2/3 of the cake herself, following the lunch before vomiting it up. Lovely. Oh, we found out all sorts about Erin's bowel movements and being sick. And so this, to me, this is the key thing, the plates. The fact that these plates cannot be found is significant, because we've already, where are they? Where are the plates? Caddy, she used the word mushrooming at some point, but I can't remember which one she said was different from another. But yeah, these plates, they're significant. 4 grey plates and 1 orangey colour plate. Both Ian and Gail said that. Not Gail, sorry, Heather. So the plates used by Erin Patterson to serve her guests at the July 29th lunch have become a focus of questioning from both the prosecution and the defence. The court has heard that Heather Wilkinson mentioned shortly before her death Miss Patterson ate from a different coloured plate than the rest of her guests. And on cross-examination from the defence, Simon Wilkinson. Simon Wilkinson? Who's Simon Wilkinson? Do they mean Ian? Anyway, that Erin did not own much crockery, which may have explained the discrepancy. Oh, I think that's supposed to be Simon Patterson. Simon Patterson. And Ian Wilkinson said in his testimony that lunch was served on 4 great plates and 1 orange tan plate. But Erin disputed this in her testimony, telling the court she did not own any grey plates and only owned a couple of black plates, a couple of white plates, and one that was red on top and black underneath. Then the last one of these, the computer, remember hard drives were analysed, and they heard that a visit was made to the iNaturalist website, the website we were talking about earlier, and the title of one of the visited pages includes the words "Death Cat from Melbourne, Vic, Australia on May the 18th. And another search conducted on May 28th was for the Corranborough pub, a venue not far from Erin's home. During the police search, a tablet was also seized, and pictures from a tablet were shown to the court, showing yellowy dried mushrooms in a food dehydrator on the kitchen bench. An image metadata showed the pictures appeared to have been taken on May the 4th, 2023, about 3 months before the fatal lunch. So they've got a timeline there. I don't know if I'm going to read out this whole timeline. Let's see how long it is. Okay, shall I read it? No, it's too long. It's too long. Everything's too long. So here are the 5 major locations. So this is where Erin lives in Leongatha. Outram is where the first death cap mushrooms were reported. Lock is the other place that the death cap mushrooms were reported on the iNaturalist site. Erin's phone was shown that she was in both those areas. And either Corranborough or I think it's the Corranborough, that's where her other house is. I'm not sure about the significance of Coomber. Is that where she said she got the mushrooms from? Let's see. Yeah, no, actually, I'll read the timeline and then I'm going to finish it for today. Just wanted to give you, a reminder as we come to hopefully the final week of this trial. I just wanted to give you a reminder. So this is the timeline of events in 2023, before and after the lunch, as set out by the prosecution. So February the 12th to the 15th, Erin allegedly starts using 2 mobile phones, known as Phone A and Phone B, using a SIM card with, and then it gives you the number. March the 24th, Erin is told she has tested negative for cervical cancer after a self-administered screening test. So on March the 24th, she knew 100%, she did not have cervical cancer. She was tested for it. So it's not even that she might think maybe she had it. She knew she didn't have it. She knew 100% she didn't have it because she'd been tested for it. Then on April the 18th, a user on iNaturalist, a website for tracking plants and fungi, finds death cap mushrooms in the lock area and posts about them online before removing as many as she can. Oh, so it was the woman that saw them first. On April the 28th, the prosecution says that Erin's mobile phone data suggests she travels to Lock before the... Funny that, isn't it? So as soon as this person posts that they've seen death cap mushrooms, she's there. 2.5 hours later, she allegedly purchases on the same day. Same day, not even the next day. She buys a Sunbeam Food Lab electronic dehydrator. From March to May, she allegedly starts posting about dehydrating mushrooms in a true crime Facebook group, detailing how she put powdered mushrooms into different foods. May the 21st, another iNaturalist user posts a photo and the exact location of death cap mushrooms growing in Outram. And then on May the 22nd, Erin's mobile phone data suggests she travelled to both Lock and Outram. June the 28th, Erin allegedly tells Donald and Gail she has an appointment with the St. Vincent's Hospital on this date and tells Gail the next day a biopsy was taken of a lump in her elbow. This was a complete lie, wasn't it? I've got to do the siren for that. Because wasn't even a little lie. It was a complete lie. Just awful. July the 11th, Erin allegedly connects a new SIM card with a different number. July the 16th, Erin attends a service at Corumburra Baptist Church and invites Don, Gail and Simon and Ian and Heather to lunch on July 29th. July 28th, Simon messages Erin saying he will not be attending the lunch due to feeling too uncomfortable. July 29th, Erin serves the lunch of beef Wellington to 4 guests at her home. July 30th, Don and Gail ring Simon complaining of serious illness. They travel via ambulance to Dandenong Hospital. Simon picks up Heather and Ian, taking them to Corumburra Hospital, then Leongatha Hospital. Erin allegedly tells one of her children she feels unwell and spends the day running errands with her children before serving them a meal she says is leftovers from the lunch. Even though she's already supposedly unwell, she knows that the family are unwell. She still feeds the children leftovers from the lunch. July the 31st, the doctors at the hospitals confer about the poisonings. Don, Gail, Heather and Ian are transferred to the Austin Hospital in Melbourne. Erin drops her children to school, then texts Simon and asks him to take her to hospital, but he tells her to get there herself. I think something you can see, can't you, that something's gone wrong here. She's supposedly ill, asking Simon to take her to hospital. She likes that tension, doesn't she? And he tells her to get there herself. Erin presents to the Leongatha Hospital about 8 o'clock, but allegedly declines a full examination and checks herself out. Over the next hour, her phone is recorded connecting to mobile phone network towers in Leongatha, Coomera and Outram. Erin returns to the hospital around 9:48. She's transferred to Monash Medical Centre and she meets Simon and her children there. And Don and Gail arrive at Austin Hospital. August the 1st, Heather and Ian arrive at the Austin Hospital. And despite escalating medical treatment, very sadly, Donald, Gail and Heather continue to deteriorate. Erin is assessed by a doctor at Monash who says she appears clinically well. All her vital signs are within normal limits and she is discharged around 1 p.m. And the Department of Health interviews Erin about the lunch. She says she brought dried mushrooms from an Asian grocer in Melbourne's southeast. August the 2nd, she allegedly conducts a factory reset on phone B, which she'd been using before February the 12th. She allegedly drives to Coomera transfer station in landfill and deposits items into an e-waste bin, including the dehydrator. Monash Council begins visiting Asian-style grocery stores in Melbourne's southeast to find products matching Erin's description. That's where the wild goose chase starts. Now, the police investigation is not actually launched until the 3rd of August. And Erin allegedly moves her SIM card into phone B. August the 4th, Heather dies at 2:50. Oh God, it's so sad. Heather dies at 2:50 a.m. Gail dies at 5:55 p.m. Police travel to Coonawarra transfer station and find the black Sunbeam dehydrator in an e-waste bin. August the 5th, Donald dies at 11:30 p.m. and a search warrant is executed at Erin's house, Leongotha House, where police seize phone B with SIM card number, blah, blah, blah. Erin is taken to Wonthaggi police station and interviewed. August the 6th, Erin allegedly remotely conducts a factory reset of phone B, which is still held by the police. And Erin allegedly continues to use phone A with that the number there, where police say they never recover this phone. Now remember, Erin said she did that remote reset just because, what was it? She said, oh, I couldn't believe it was still connected to the internet. And I thought, oh, it can't be possibly. And so, oh, oops, there you go. I did the factory reset. Oops. Do you remember her saying that? She actually said that. She did the remote factory reset because she couldn't believe that it could still be, it was like an experiment, she said. She is such a devious woman, this one. Liar, Erin pants on fire. You did that factory reset deliberately because you think you're so clever, don't you? Think you're so much cleverer than the police, don't you? Definitely. She's so devious, so sinister. Yeah, that's interesting, Katie. It's about the urine, wasn't it? About the urine thing, but anyway. I think because they're women as well, you know, is it not true? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just struck me, do women wee more often than men, and would it have come out their system quicker? I don't know. But yeah, it's something to do with it comes out in urine, and, you know, that's a possibility. But yeah, it is worrying that, if you like, for the prosecution case as to why there was nothing found in those two ladies. But anyway. And yet they were so badly affected by it, you know. So yeah, the police still to this day have not recovered phone A. Where is phone A? Probably in the bush, or was dropped, you know, in that 9 second toilet stop, disposed of or something. Anyway, on August the 11th, the Department of Health concluded its investigation and is unable to find any store selling mushrooms matching Erin's description. On September the 11th, Ian is moved into a rehabilitation ward. November the 2nd, the police arrest Erin and charge her with 3 counts of murder. So she wasn't actually charged until the 2nd of November. Gosh. Anyway, and Ian thankfully recovered. So there we go. So it's going to be an interesting weekend, isn't it, for the jury? What will the jury be thinking? What will be going through their head? But don't forget, they've got the closing arguments to come on Monday, so they'll get that, you know, because they will have forgotten things that happened right at the beginning of the trial unless they took notes. Now, of course, I think the jury can, if as the jury's deliberating, there's something that they want clarifying or something they've forgotten or they've got different memories of something, they can send to the judge, can't they? Or they can ask those questions. So yeah, I don't think they're expected to remember every little thing. You know, they can ask for clarification, can't they? So, well, I think you think 3 days, David. I don't know if it'll be as long as that. I think the problem will be if there's one person, you know, who obviously maybe one person who's thinking, oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot, maybe 3 days, because do you know what? There's a lot to digest, isn't there? An awful lot to digest. And it's an important decision. They're talking about someone's life. You know, if Erin's found guilty of even one of those, you know, she's looking at a life sentence. So it's not a decision to be taken lightly. So I'm sure they'll take it seriously, and they'll make, you know, they'll try and make a considered decision. So, yeah. Well, I do think the defence has literally got nothing. I think the defence. It's just like, I don't know. I agree. I have no idea what the defence is going to do. How do you defend in a case like this? Literally have no idea. Literally no idea. Where is he, Mr. Mandy? Let's have another look at him. Colin Mandy's got his work cut out for him, hasn't he? Definitely got his work cut out for him. Defending this woman. I wonder what she's doing at the weekend. I mean, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, she's innocent until proven guilty. But what is she going to do at the weekend? You know, is she got friends who are supporting her? It seems to me that the only people that were supporting her, you know, in life in general, she's just killed 3 of them. Surely she won't be seeing Simon at the weekend. I don't. Are her kids? Have her kids been taken? Where are her children? Let's have a look. Are they back with her? Where are the children? Are they in child protective? Can't see anything coming up on here. I don't know where the children are now. Surely they're not at home. God, because if you were one of the children, you'd be like, you know, you wouldn't want to eat anything your mum had cut for you, would you? Let's have a look at this. Huh? Hello? She's trying to sell me something. Yeah, I don't know where the children are. Is the, you know, just, I can't see anything here. Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Maybe they're with their dad, yeah, possibly. I don't know if she's on bail. Is she on bail? There's very little been said about her, isn't there? I don't know if she's on bail or if she's being kept. I literally do not know. Oh no, she's in prison, apparently. Apparently. Let's have a look. Yeah, she's in jail on remand. Now, let's, oh God. All these adverts pop up, which trouble is you can't get away from, can't get off them. Right, let's have a look at this article that's just popped up. Let's see if we can get. We've not really.
Ahora más de 160.000
seen
padres
it.
primerizos acuden al año al pediatra. Y aquí estamos para consultarlo todo, incluso cuando no es nada, significa mucho. Protegemos vuestra salud con atención por videollamada 24/7 con médicos expertos. Aquí y ahora. Hablemos.
This is the first time we've seen Erin Patterson in almost 6 months, the mother of two taking the opportunity to make a bombshell claim, telling the court she's willing to stretch out her time in custody to have her triple murder case heard in her local community.
If she's found not guilty, she's effectively tacked on many months, perhaps even up to a year on the amount of time that she will spend in prison.
Up until this point, the high-profile case has been heard in Morwell, but as they tried to lock in a date for a 3-week committal hearing, Miss Patterson was told there's no room for the rest of the year. The magistrate pushing to fast-track the matter to the Supreme Court in Melbourne, telling her lawyer, "I'm not content to wait because I don't think it's fair on your client." He replied she would like to have her committal hearing heard in your honours court in her local community, and she's content to wait until the court can accommodate her, which could be up to 15 months.
It may be.
Oh, she was happy to wait because she wanted it in the local community. Strange, isn't it? So no, she's been in prison for quite a long time.
That by asking to have the matter heard in Morwell and therefore delaying the proceeding, Erin Patterson's chances of getting bail have increased.
The magistrate questioned the 49-year-old, telling her Morwell is 60 kilometres away, not even in her local community. Miss Patterson's lawyer said her Leongatha home, where the fateful meal is alleged to have been served, is still close to Morwell in the context of regional Victoria. He also said most of the witnesses who'll be called to give evidence are from the local community, including Pastor Ian Wilkinson, the sole survivor of the deadly lunch. Miss Patterson will return to Morwell in 2 weeks, where she'll find out if she won her bid. In Morwell, Amber Johnston, 9 News.
Well, she did win a bid because it is being held in Morwell, isn't it? So she apparently wanted it. She was content
Ahora más
to
de
wait.
160.000 padres primerizos.
She was, oh, for God's sake, I didn't want to go on that. Apparently she's content to wait, philosophical about time in custody. Well, the thing is, what would she do otherwise? What would she be doing this weekend if she was free? You know, what could she do? She couldn't go anywhere, could she? Because everybody knows her. So the wheels of justice grind slowly, as Chinese and Greek philosophers asserted. But for Erin Patterson, charged with 3 counts of murder by mushroom-infused beef Wellington and 5 counts of attempted murder, that's just fine, apparently. She's content to wait in jail, where she's already spent months on remand for another 14 or 16 months before she faces a hearing to decide whether she must face trial. So she sat alone and silent in one of those tiny, lonesome rooms reserved for the accused when they appear by video before a court in Victoria. The paintworker tone, I wish I would have known when this was happening, because you can get a link and watch these, but as I've watched a couple with Patrick Stevenson, who's the alleged killer of Samantha Murphy, but I didn't know about these. But I'll look out. Well, it's too late now because she's on trial now. But so the paintwork is a tone you might describe as government drab. Her only companion is a chair, askew behind her as lawyers and a magistrate discussed her fate on Monday. Wonder what she's getting up to in prison. She was perfectly expressionless, her gaze gathered tightly and her glasses upon her nose just so. Her gaze was fixed on the video camera on the wall above her. as the court's actors went to and fro on their disembodied video links about the prospects of a date for a committal hearing, none of them reaching a conclusion. But no hint of impatience crossed her face as the opening minutes dissolved into confusion, the barrister and prosecutor missing from the video feed, the magistrate standing down while their absence was righted. When the technology was rectified, Magistrate Tim Welsh said he was on leave next week and wanted to discuss. I've seen one of these with Patrick Stevenson. It was total chaos. As they all discussed who was there, wasn't there, someone had gone for a coffee. It was unbelievable. It was so disorganized. The court in which he sat in Morwell in the Latrobe Valley serviced 6 courts, which was clearly quite a load, he pointed out. Could the matter be moved to Melbourne or fast-tracked to the Supreme Court? Well, it wasn't. It was kept there, wasn't it? And Mr. Mandy said, no, we're content to wait. So although Walsh protested, this did not appear fair to Patterson because it was unlikely a date could be found till next year. Mr. Mandy said if it has to be next year, Miss Patterson is happy to wait, which puts her in custody for 14 to 16 months, said Walsh. But he didn't need to say it, and he didn't. But this is a prisoner, innocent till proven guilty, who's being discussed. No. So she was happy to wait. And prosecutor Sarah Lenthal, that's a different prosecutor to the one now, told the court the Crown's position was that a committal should proceed as soon as possible. But Mr. Mandy argued that the matter should be heard in the Latrobe Valley, within the community. Wonder why he wanted that. So apparently this went on and on and on, and then the case was adjourned till May the 7th. Then she again would appear by video. Anyway, in the end, it was held in the local. It is being held, I should say, because it's not finished yet. In the oh, sorry, Silver. Sorry. Let me go back to it. Yeah, sorry, it's because I'm getting tired now. So, I mean, not that I have to be tired to make mistakes on my streams. Let's go back to it again. I don't know if it was a video, actually. It was just me reading about it, but hang on. Did I actually play the video? I don't know that it was a video. Let me go back. Yeah. I'll share the article, but I don't think there was a video. Oh yeah, little video here. You can see it now, yeah?
This is the first time we've seen Erin Patterson in almost 6 months, the mother of 2 taking the opportunity to make a bombshell claim, telling the court she's willing to stretch out her time in custody to have her triple murder case heard in her local community.
If she's found not guilty, she's effectively tacked on many months, perhaps even up to a year on the amount of time that she will spend in prison.
Up until this point, the high-profile case has been heard in Morwell, but as they tried to lock in a date for a 3-week committal hearing, Ms Patterson was told there's no room for the rest of the year. The magistrate pushing to fast-track the matter to the Supreme Court in Melbourne, telling her lawyer, "I'm not content to wait because I don't think it's fair on your client." He replied she would like to have her committal hearing heard in your honours court in her local community, and she's content to wait until the court can accommodate her, which could be up to 15 months.
It may be that by asking to have the matter heard in Morwell and therefore delaying the proceeding, Erin Patterson's chances of getting bail have increased.
The magistrate questioned the 49-year-old, telling her Morwell is 60 kilometres away, not even in her local community. Ms Patterson's lawyer said her Leongatha home, where the fateful meal is alleged to have been served, is still close to Morwell in the context of regional Victoria. He also said most of the witnesses who'll be called to give evidence are from the local community, including Pastor Ian Wilkinson, the sole survivor of the deadly lunch. Ms Patterson will return to Morwell in 2 weeks, where she'll find out if she won her bid. In Morwell, Amber Johnston, 9 News.
Okay, so finally we got, so I might do it. This, God. Okay, now I'm just going to have a look, because I believe Ian Wilkinson, didn't he do some sort of an interview, or was it a service? But this was going to be a very quick stream. It's been over 2 hours now that's been on stream. It does so much for a quick stream. Oh, right. Might be able to see Ian speaking. Oh no, is that no? We know he was speaking in court. I want to see the sermon that he apparently made. Let's have a look. Might have to look for it for next time. Oh yeah, I might have found it. Okay, yeah, I haven't got the whole sermon, but let's have a look at this video, which shows Ian talking. Like the Herald have put their stamp all over it. They might pick me up for copyright, but anyway.
The sole survivor of a poisonous mushroom lunch in Victoria has spoken publicly for the first time since his release from hospital. Pastor Ian Wilkinson fought back tears as he delivered a powerful sermon, paying tribute to his late wife of almost 45 years.
Far from the frail figure he was 4 months ago, Pastor Ian Wilkinson is back before his congregation at Currumborough Baptist Church.
Yeah, he's certainly had a good recovery, and I'm so pleased for him. But yeah, 45 years of marriage, and that Pinocchio just took her away from him.
Church.
At the start of the week, was 6 months since Heather and Gail and Don went to be with the Lord.
The sombre milestone marked during a week he should have been celebrating.
Friday was my birthday, turning 70, and yesterday was our 45th wedding anniversary.
Ian Wilkinson was the only lunch guest to survive the beef Wellington meal. After spending 2 months in hospital fighting for life, he told parishioners his faith remains strong.
Let me encourage you to keep on going. The way is sometimes hard, but God is good. He is with us. He promised never to leave or forsake us. And I can
Right,
say
good.
that is true.
The sermon on February 11 was part of a celebration to mark Ian Wilkinson's 25 years as a pastor at the parish. As he continues to recover and come to terms with the loss of his loved ones, the community is rallying around him.
Having him back, yes, it's been well, a miracle really, because
It is a miracle.
you know, not everybody comes back from something like that.
The woman at the centre of the deadly meal, Erin Patterson, is charged with multiple counts of murder and attempted murder. Her case returns to court in May.
The community still won't forget about what happened. They'll never forget. Never.
Samantha Butler for 10 News First.
Poor Ian. It is absolutely heartbreaking. And he's, you know, he's still sort of, his faith is intact. Right? Do you know what? That's it. You can't let these twonks break your faith or, you know, ruin your life completely. You've got to keep on going, haven't you? How so very, very sad. My God. So sad. I wonder if there's any more. I hadn't seen that before. You know, sometimes you do, you know, feel like giving up over all sorts of things, don't you? But I mean, he was very upset, wasn't he? At the end of the day, he was very upset. You could hear that in his voice. But, you know, he's carrying on it, isn't he? So let's just say there's another very short video I'm going to put on of him. Let's have a look at this Daily Motion one.
Lo importante es el flow, 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 flow. Estoy en mi peak, estoy en mi glow. El flow me eligió, no el elegí yo. No es algo de beat, es
Sorry, oh, there's an advert there.
flow, flow. Estoy en mi peak, estoy en mi glow. Si quiero chulería, voy para la molería que ahí se respeta mi flow. Lo importante es el flow, flow,
What?
flow, flow. Estoy en mi peak, estoy en mi glow. El flow me eligió.
How many times do we have to watch the advert?
Es algo de flow.
Don't mind one advert, do you? That's got to make their money somewhere.
This has been a pretty big week in my life. At the start of the week was 6 months since Heather and Gail and Don went to be with the Lord. Wednesday was the day, the anniversary day of my induction as pastor. Wednesday was
I just want to
the
say
day
something about this Herald Sun who put this, how disrespectful to put that watermark right across Ian. How awful. You know, this is not their video. This is the sermon held at the church. Doesn't belong to them. Do you know what I mean? I probably, if I had more time and I looked into it more, I could probably find the original sermon from the church without their stupid logo all over it. But I just think that's so disrespectful. The Herald Sun put everything behind a paywall, everything they do. I will never, ever sign up to any of their things. I never use anything of theirs because of that. And this is just so unnecessary because this video, as I say, it is not their video. It does not belong to them. It belongs to the church. If anyone should put a watermark on it, it's the church.
the anniversary day of my induction as pastor. Friday was my birthday, turning 70.
Oh.
And yesterday was our 45th wedding anniversary. So it's been a pretty big week. Let me encourage you to keep on going. The way is sometimes hard, but God is good. He is with us. He promised never to leave or forsake us. And I can say that is true.
Bless. Well, God was certainly with Ian, because Ian survived. It is a miracle that Ian survived, and it meant that he could give evidence against this horrible, hateful woman. So, anyway. Harold's son, they're horrible, aren't they? So horrible. Fancy putting, putting the thing right over his face as well. Like, how awful. How awful. Horrible, horrible person. They're horrible people. Erin's a horrible person. Good job we're all okay, isn't it? Oh dear. Okay, so I'm going to finish there. Again, I'm just going to put my banner up for a minute. I want to say, as always, thank you for the watching and liking, subscribing, etc. Just want to remind people, I'm going to have to get a banner for my merch. That's what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to put some more things on the Ko-fi page that sometimes people would like a mug with something on, or, so please send me some, if you've got an idea of anything that you think people would like to see on a mug or on, any sort of merch. I don't think I'm going to do T-shirts and things like that, because they're not very good quality. When I had the merch before at another place, and I ordered like a T-shirt thing just to see what they were like, and I didn't think the quality was very good. Whereas I think the mugs and things like that, they are good quality. So what else do I want to say before I finish? Yeah, I'll be back at some point, no doubt. It's Friday. Have you got that Friday feeling? I hope you've all got good plans for the weekend and that you're going to have a good time. And as I say, we'll be meeting up at some point, I'm sure, over this weekend. Hope your weekend goes well. I hope you don't have the same electronic problems as me. As I say, about 20 times I've swapped my SIM card over this morning. So hope I'm never accused of poisoning people with mushrooms and trying to hide evidence on my phone. Actually, if they looked at my phone, they would find loads of mushrooms. Let's just remember that, what somebody sent me. Oh, have I still got it on there? Oh, I think I've taken it off. Oh, remember the solar mushroom lights? I think I've taken it off, yeah, because I get clogged up with pictures on here. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, I know what I'm just going to show before we finish. Do you remember, this is something I haven't showed for a while. The person who makes me like little scenarios with the dolls and things like that, they made me that I went mushroom hunting. Let's have a look at that. We need something to cheer us up, I think, because Ian's little bit of Ian's sermon that we saw there, it was so heartbreaking.
You're so bold. Your YouTube world is the purest gold. With every video, fresh and new, you light my days with joy so true. Oh, Vicky Marie, your voice, your charm, your spark, your flair, keep me glued beyond compare. From laughs to lessons, all you share. No other channel shines so rare. The comments buzz, your fans agree. We're all here for